morning, guys. I hope everyone's well. I've got a photo up of when I was really sick. So, welcome to my Friday live. Many places I think it's still Thursday, but I do this live each week. I usually do a food demo and I just talk on topics that I've learned things about that have come up during coaching during the week. It's kind of like a debrief. And the reason this photo is up, so this is a photo of me back like 7 years ago. And I had a whole host of problems. Like at this stage, I'd already had a full hysterectomy. I'd had my stomach, duodenum, top of intestines removed. I had multiple health problems like blood sugar issues. I had POTS. I had tachycardia. I was in ICU. For many reasons, actually, but all my blood work just kept dropping. And the reason I'm talking about this is I just got my blood work back, and my blood work is showing that I don't have any problems anymore. I did have a lot of problems when I started a raw food journey. As you can see in this photo, I don't look very well at all. And this had plagued me like my whole life. It started when I was younger. I got chickenpox, and after that I had like chronic fatigue issues. I had swollen glands. I couldn't get back to school, and I was only 8. They took my adenoids and tonsils out at this stage, and I slowly got better. But this was like 3-year period when I was a child. Then I seemed to do much better. Then in my teens, when I was about 16, I ended up with chronic pelvic pain, chronic back pain, migraines. My hormone levels were out. Chronic fatigue. I could barely get back to school. And this went on for years. I had surgeries, I had doctors, I had naturopaths, I had physios, I had chiropractors, and nothing was really helping. And what was helping actually is any surgery I had, which took something out, seemed to relieve, I guess, a level of inflammation. Anyway, going on, I ended up on a walking stick, a whole lot of pain medication. The pain medication, including H. pylori, meant I lost my stomach. And I ended up in a situation like this. So I was very, very underweight, as you could see. And anything doctors did, I seemed to just get sicker. I did dissociate just after this photo, actually, where I lost part of my memory, and I was able to get well to a certain degree. I was doing like a paleo diet. I was having fruit. I was having meat. And here's another photo, actually. I don't know, there. And I was doing much better, but there was still a huge part of my memory that hadn't come back. Then I got shingles through the eye, FND, couldn't walk, couldn't talk. At this stage, I went vegan, cooked food vegan, very much whole foods, because I was in hospitals, so it wasn't the best. But it was when I got to the private hospitals, it was like salads and tofus and ragouts. And I was just not getting better. And I ended up becoming an alcoholic to try and help with just a lot of the PTSD. I couldn't really read or write, and ended up with no carers in my own place. And I started eating the foods raw. And as soon as I did that, I started to notice I could do things. And when I started to notice I could do things, I'm like, there's something, I didn't know what I was doing, and I couldn't read a lot on it. But I followed that, and within 6 weeks, all my symptoms were gone. During that time, if I ate any cooked food, I would end up back in bed. Like literally, I could not get up. I'd have POTS. I'd have like flushes. I'd walk down the street. My tachycardia was beating really fast. But if I ate raw, everything just calmed down. And this is like this stage here. And then this, I had liver issues, POTS, tachycardia. I had been drinking. I was raw, but obviously just at the start. This is just a flashback to, I swelled up a long time ago when I had FND. I had FND for a long time here. I was vegan. That's a vegan chocolate cake. I don't even think I ate it. But anyway, this is where I started 4 years ago when I went raw. And I just want to bring up a photo of where I am now. And at this point, I had on my blood test, my blood wasn't making proteins. I had all my liver markers were out. I'd just been in hospital for like liver issues, infusions for weeks. My iron was low. They couldn't infuse it, wanted to do blood infusions because you can't give somebody with a damaged liver, as damaged as mine was, iron infusions. So at this point, medications weren't working. I had psychiatric issues. The psych drugs just made me worse. So in this photo, I'm literally just started eating raw foods. Now I want to bring a photo up of, I've got a whole lot of photos here, but I want to bring up a photo of, well, here's one of me now. This is last year in Hawaii. It's just going to take a second to come up. And actually, in fact, in this photo, my iron is really low. It went down to 0.8. I'm on all raw foods, a lot of juice. This is when I was in Hawaii. This is 3 years into a raw food diet. Now I want to add a photo. Let me see if I can add another photo. Oh, I think I've run out of adding photos. Let me see. Can I add more here? Let's remove this for a second. There I am. Here, yeah, you can only add a certain amount of photos. Okay, that's fine. So let me add a photo. This is me more recently, well, which you can see me now. So, I mean, it's not like a huge difference. Let me bring up the photo. But I just bring up this photo, add to stage. The reason I'm bringing this up, so this is me on raw foods for 4 years. Yes, I have a bit of makeup on and I have slept in a heatless roller. I couldn't use anything with makeup or anything when I was healing myself. But let me bring you back to when I started. So this is when I started. And this is me now. And this was me about 3 years before the raw food diet at my like absolute worst. And this is me now. Now, in this photo here that you're looking at, I had a blood test recently, which was yesterday, and I have 0 problems on my blood markers. Ever since I had my stomach removed and even beforehand, every blood test that came back, there was issues, varied issues, but I was always anemic. I had blood sugar issues. As you heard, my body stopped making proteins. And the reason I wanted to bring all these photos up is I don't share my journey to tell people essentially what to do. I don't like post being like, you need to do this and you need to do that. I simply share what I'm doing and what works for me. And the reason I do this is because I feel like most of my life I was trying to follow people who obviously hadn't had a hysterectomy, obviously hadn't had their stomach removed, was showing studies where, you know, such and such would work. And then 4 years later, they're like, oh no, that doesn't work. And I feel like that doesn't change in natural health. So people start telling one person what to do and they get really religious about sticking to it and they end up sicker. Like the amount of people who come to me who haven't listened to what their body's doing and ended up sicker on a new level scares me. Like it really scares me. And the way I healed, like, I mean, look at me there, look at me here, and then look at me now. And this was all eating raw foods because they felt right. But the raw foods which I was called to. So I eat a diet of, at the moment, I'm able to have a little more fruit. There was about a year where I had blood sugar issues and really sweet fruits I weren't able to have. Recently, I've been able to have a little bit more. And it's all about getting in tune with your body. Now, the reason I say this is there was one other video I was going to just pull up in case no one had seen it. Let's remove this one. The reason I bring this up is I did have a blood test. And as I said, everything is perfect. I have a broken toe. I broke it 2 months ago now, but I was still running and doing Pilates. And I was starting to displace the toe. And the doctor said, you must be off it for 6 weeks. And after about a week, I noticed how fatigued I was feeling. Mind you, I'm used to doing an hour and a half of exercise a day. And I'm not used to having that much inflammation in my body either. Like I have a break in my body. And I started to notice I was really pale, my eyes, under my eyes, the red was gone, and I was so sure my iron had dropped. So I went to a chemist because you can get a prick test here. And she said, oh my God, your iron's really low. It's like 8.7. So on top of feeling fatigued, I'm now totally stressed out because I'm like, I spend so much time on this diet and this lifestyle and I have deficiencies. And so I went to the doctor yesterday and I sat down and he said, your blood work's perfect. Now, I only started having some magnesium at night, and I'll talk more on that a couple months ago. I've had no supplementation. I have 7 major organs removed. I've eaten intuitively, all raw foods because I feel amazing. Essentially, you can give me any diet, and I just feel if I eat all raw, very high watery foods, especially if you go out in nature, I feel like I'm walking in God's kingdom. You can't take that fact away. You can give me any other diet, and yeah, I got, as you can tell, when I did paleo, which was some meat with many raw fruits, and I got sick. It takes this lightness for me to feel well. But anyway, back to the doctor has said your blood work is fine. So like this time last year, after doing lots of sweet fruit, so I healed myself on more veggies, more hey, more veggies, more greens, some fruit. It was more like each day was like a bit of cucumber, a bit of celery, a fruit, maybe some banana, and then it was back to celery or some carrot sticks, a bit of fruit. And it's funny, when I juiced, I followed this pattern until I started doing a lot of sweet juices. And then after that, as I said, my iron this time last year was only 0.8. It totally tanked out, which when I was eating any other diet, my iron continually tanked out. So that was an issue. My electrolytes were low. I hadn't had salt in 2 years, and I was juicing. And every time you have fluid in your body needs salts to get rid of the excess fluid. And here's me not having salts and lots of sugar. And then I had blood sugar issues. So then I'm thinking, when I went to this chemist on the weekend, that my irons tanked again. I'm like, am I not getting this right? But I have healed my blood sugar issues completely. I've healed my salt issues completely, and I have healed my iron is still up. So when I was eating any other diet, my iron, if I ate any meat, if I ate any cooked foods, my iron was always tanked. And so yeah, sorry, let me get to my point. So I post on my story that, guys, my blood work's perfect. For someone with 7 major organs missing, this is near impossible without supplementation and vitamin infusion. And I'm still tired, but the doctor's saying if you have a break, your body will want to heal. You will get tired. Plus, with trauma like mine, I kind of sit in a space where I can get chronic fatigue. And next minute in my inbox, I have people telling me why I'm tired, what protocol I need to use, what I'm doing wrong. And I'm like, guys, come on, let's have a look at this for a second. Guys, I healed myself. I'm tired because I have a break. Let my body just have some sleep. It doesn't need more things. Hey, Jill. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say here is one of the most scary things I think that goes on the internet is when someone gets up on their post, any reel, and they share their health journey. And behind that is a whole story, like 7 major organs missing. I was near death. Nothing I did worked, and I healed myself. And then you got someone jumping in your inbox without knowing anything, telling you what to do. And I just feel like that kept me sick before I healed myself, because I had this doctor and this professor and this expert and this naturopath, and I'm going on and I'm pulled, and I'm trying to like grasp some footing. Whereas when I couldn't read, when I couldn't write, I just ate food raw because I was too tired to cook it, and I got up. And then I'm like, okay, Sky, it's that simple. You eat it not cooked and you're well. And I started to notice different foods had different effects. But then I would be up and well, and I'm like, oh, dry roast some pumpkin. Boom, out. Can't get up. Tachycardia, all heart problems. Now, none of this came from a book. None of this came from somebody else. It didn't come from a protocol. It literally came because that's all. I couldn't read. Could see pictures. I went on Instagram, and I saw people called raw vegans with pictures. That's all I could get in. I'm like, aha, I eat it raw. So people love to tell people what to do, but they have to remember that there's a whole story that leads up to this. Like, it's not like I just woke up and everybody has been through the same thing. Everyone has the same microbiome. I mean, I'm going into winter. Most people who follow me are going into summer. Like, we don't even have the same foods available. And that's just one thing. But what I think is just really scary is, and really I think triggers me, is the fact that it was never somebody else. I do get inspiration from people, and I do have a lot of respect, like good friends I talk to. Actually, we constantly share our journeys. But all we can do is take resonance from it. And I find like the high vibe people, the people who do really well in this diet, are in my inbox going, go girl, you're amazing. Look what you've done. Look what you're achieved. They're not viewing me as a problem, because if you're viewing each story you look at as a problem, you're also viewing the world as a problem. Now, that can be a very protective mechanism that we can get, but I swear the more I see anything as positive, the more I start to just seek out positive, and in my food, in my diet, in my choices, in people around me. And that's so important to my healing journey. So AZX did make a video on me. I got through most of it, and I thank you for sharing. I'm not sure what the whole video said, but I just saw you sharing and understanding why I did things. Yeah, and I think that's like a really good takeaway is and I think I share a lot. So like I do share everything, my downs, my ups. And I think what you have to understand is a lot of people online, when you pick up their story, is there's so much that we don't know. I try and share as much as I can so you guys know where I'm at, but also always say, I'm not telling you to do this. I literally do it so more so that if you can understand, like just say somebody came to me and they said, Sky, I started to heal. I was eating meat and cooked veggies. I've been eating processed food my whole life. You know, I spent a lot of time by myself and this worked. I'd be like, great, you're listening to yourself. You've got to, I wasn't perfect. Like, I'm not even saying my diet's perfect, but I started out with paleo and moved to vegan. And because of this journey, I found what worked for me. It's such a journey. I just want to encourage people to listen to how their body responds to food. Now, I'll give you an example. There is, and I am not an advocate for eating meat whatsoever, but I actually spoke to a naturopath who had a whole lot of Aboriginal people, they're Australian natives here, being told by nutritionists what to eat. Okay. And there's like a disease they get where they wander. They just get off and wander. It's like, I don't know whether it's like a trauma response. I'm not sure what it is. Now, just know that we're assuming in this situation that their microbiome and their genetics and their microbiome leading up and their lifestyle has been very different to someone like mine, like generations and generations. So these naturopaths, based on studies, are trying to help these like Aboriginal people. And it was my naturopath helped some of them get back to their original diet, what their ancestors ate for generations and generations and generations. And all the problems they were facing went. And that's, I guess, another example is you've got to start somewhere where you feel the food is giving the best version of you. It's just so, so important, because I feel like this girl in this picture here, she literally was so overeducated. I feel I broke myself. I feel like I spent any time I was conscious and could read and write. And during this time, I could read and write and comprehend. And I did not have many psychiatric issues until I split. I guess I was so used to being sick. I spent my time in journals, in watching natural health as well. I don't think I ever found raw foods. I might have, but I obviously didn't absorb it. In this picture here, I was eating 3 shakes a day with all frozen berries, a protein powder, and this was by naturopaths and doctors because I was in and out of hospital. And on top of that, I had to have meals. Okay. And my meals were very healthy, made by mum. There would have been like meat and veg. There was not really any preservatives in my life. I mean, I'm sure there's preservatives in the protein powder, but I remember in the end, I was basically just kind of, before I lost my memory, I was basically mashing up berries and just eating them. And I actually think that's how my enlightenment journey started. If you start eating a lot of fruits, I don't even eat a huge amount of fruits, not now. But when you do, you're so enlightened. It's like the universe speaks to you. I believe it probably contributed to something along my journey. But then I was in hospital, came out of that, was on no medication, paleo, got shingles through the eye, F&D, couldn't walk, couldn't talk, had to relearn to do these things in a neurological hospital, but never got back fully until until I went raw. So someone said, no, it's bad diet. Berries are covered in pesticides. Now it's comments like that would have kept me sick. So I didn't heal myself on organic foods. I healed myself just walking up to the shop. Well, when I could walk, most of it was delivered. It was during COVID and I was still sick. But we are in Australia. I will say when I was in America, I literally could smell chemicals in the shops. Which is I live in Australia, and I will say is when I was buying like grapes and stuff in Hawaii from a supermarket, it was making me feel horrible and the smell was not good. In Australia, you can literally buy produce from many fruit and veggie places, like just supermarkets. But if you're worried, buy a wash. I wasn't using a wash. I literally ate this food in its raw form. But remember, I'm in Australia. I do think our produce is from any place, but I do have organic, mostly organic now. But the only time I was really affected by unorganic food is I ate grapes for 3 weeks. And if you go back, there's videos on that. It was to heal a tooth. I did help the tooth for about a year, and then I needed work done on it. Is I was eating non-organic grapes, but grapes are also covered in sulfur. Anyway, I ended up with neurological problems. I ended up with like all weird twitches. Excuse me. And then I ate organic grapes, and within a couple of hours, all the symptoms subsided. So, but I guess even that's intuitive, right? Like where I'm in America and I'm like, something doesn't smell right here. When I had the organic produce in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai, it was like magic. But the imported stuff was just not the same as in Australia. So yeah, so that's I wanted to run through it again, and I will probably preach it to the day I die, because I think it's so interesting that you can have top doctors and top experts and go to naturopaths and you can't get where you need to be until, I think, two factors here, few factors actually, is you're so broken, you only have your own voice and the feeling of what you do. You can't really connect to anything. And then once I worked out the foods work, the second thing, which was vital, was the raw foods got me up. Nature heals me. So at the moment, I'm not in nature as much. But the more time I spend in nature, out under the sun, the moon, you get that grounding, those electrons from the earth. We are a direct current. We're not an alternate current like all this stuff here. So you want to ground yourself, get those electrons going. And yeah, and so usually I do a food demo, but this was a little last minute. I usually grab whatever food I've got left in the fridge and make a brand new recipe off the top of my head for you guys. I don't have that this week. I will actually, I just wanted to touch on, I have used no supplements on this healing journey. I was literally pumped full of supplements before I went raw, because my blood tests were so bad. And now I have added back magnesium. And the reason I did that is a couple of reasons. I did start to struggle with what blood sugar issues are going to do this. I have got hormone replacement back in. Remember, I had a full hysterectomy. I noticed after a few years on raw foods, I wanted that back in. I feel more protective. I feel more clear. I don't know. I just feel more connected to the universe when I have some estrogen. So that and magnesium I've added back in, and I was really struggling, and a lot of women my age, I'm 44 this year, struggle with weight around the stomach. Now, a lot of people say don't eat fat. That is near impossible for me. My nerves hurt. I also can't concentrate very well without omega-3s. And I was noticing like sweet fruits, if I had something fatty at the end of the day, it was kind of just not going well for me. And I'm pretty sure that's why I was putting weight on around my middle. Now, I really feel magnesium for me helps have regular bowel movements. It helps my muscles. It helps my focus. It helps my sleep. And as I said, I've only just added it back. I use an advanced mix, 1 to 2 tablets of it at night. And I've noticed since using it, I wake up every morning and I have like a really good bowel movement. And ever since doing that, I've noticed the weight around my middle. So when I was eating a lot, because you've got to eat a lot of raw foods, everything I feel like was getting stuck in me. But please know, missing my stomach, duodenum, and top of intestines, it means the food dumps into the intestines and never gets broken down properly, and also moves a lot slower in that case. So I was always kind of like swollen since adding the magnesium. And so far it's something I really like. So, they're the benefits I've noticed. I just want to ask, organic produce have organic pesticides, I don't use organic produce. I use spray-free. Sorry, I said organic. I use spray-free biodynamic produce. I know the guy who grows it. So, but as I've said to you guys, that didn't heal me. I just ate, and Dr. Brooke Goldner talks about, she heals people every day with raw foods. And she says you just get it from the supermarket. When your body's running this efficiently, it has a load that it will just get rid of things. I also had people commenting, so I've been doing this 4 years now. When I went raw, I had no detox symptoms. I just started feeling better and better and better and better and better. And mind you, there has been times where I haven't felt great, but also then when I have a blood test, it's also shown a deficiency. So people have said now 4 years in, and I'm not eating high fruits. that my tiredness is now detox. And I believe the body's always detoxing, otherwise I'd probably be dead. I can only go on what I've learnt, and I've never had the experience of massive detox. What I have had when I do only fruits for a period of time is nerve pain. As soon as I have a little bit of avocado or omega-3s from like flax oil, that pain stops. And it's not like shakes or temperatures, or it's just this generalized nerve pain. And I do believe it's because of what I've been through. Is my nerves and myelin sheath are just shot, and having fats really buffers whatever those nerves are sitting in. So it's just, that's my experience, and I can only talk on what I have experienced. So someone says spray free, that's perfect. Yeah, but I try not look. If I just am not dogmatic about anything which doesn't have a huge impact on my life. So I ate raw foods that literally saved my life. So now I can afford to go to the markets and get spray-free produce. So that's what I do. But during the week, if I run out, I'm not dogmatic because it doesn't really affect me. I will only have a couple grapes from shops. I won't go and like have grape after grape after grape, like the grape cleanse. But as I said, like having the magnesium and the hormone replacement is kind of where I sit with the load of what my body is capable of feeling better with, but also getting rid of toxins. But I mean, the body's getting rid of toxins from the environment, things we breathe in. It's doing the best job we can. When I am on high fruits, I find my body cannot, except when I'm in a tropical climate, my body cannot regulate very well with these alternate currents being ungrounded. It's like being unhinged. Though when I was in Bali and I was having fresh tropical fruit, I was outdoors all day in the sun, and it was, let's like, they have like rain season and like what tropical season there, and it was warm all day, and I was just outdoors with no shoes on and a swimming costume. So we're not talking about someone who's like indoors, the temperature's changing all the time, can be cold. That's the only time I've been able to do, and that's a denser fruit. I was having a lot of durian there too. If you have orange or watermelon, yeah, 100%, it's definitely more protected there. So if you have orange or watermelon, it's more protected from pesticides. I just want to reiterate that in Australia, I just don't think the produce is the same. Going on my take from being in America, it really was like, it felt dense, the food. It was a little bit of a worry for me. I'd have a bit, but most of my food came from the farmers markets when it could. And even when I ate at restaurants there, it didn't taste like. In Australia, you can eat the produce here. We are very lucky. I do want to say also one thing on watermelon. So I feel like where I ran into trouble with raw foods was I seem to do better eating a not completely dense. Like I don't have to eat just durian and bananas. I don't eat them at all. But like I do better doing fruits like berries or dragon fruit or persimmons, like tomatoes, cucumbers. If I start getting into like watermelon, which is really watery, I start to notice, and sweet as well, because I have dumping syndrome. So because I have no stomach, the fruit and the sugar go straight into the area of the body which straight absorbs sugar, which is the small intestines. Most people, the food they eat goes into their stomach, it's broken down a bit, and then slowly moves through the duodenum, which is small intestine, and starts absorbing the sugars as you get down to the jejunum and the ileum. Now, for me, there's no buffer and nothing going slow. So when I start having very sweet juices and very watery fruits like watermelon, even coconut water, I can have a little bit, not too much. I love coconut water. I feel so hydrated with it, and with watermelon too. But I start to notice I was getting issues before I juice. Like ended up getting shingles again. And I just believe I do better, and people are well worth their time figuring out what level of fruit suits them. Of course, I can have a few pieces of watermelon, but I could never go back to eating half a watermelon for breakfast again. That was where I started to notice issues and being like, do I need this? Do I need salt? Do I need nuts and seeds? A lot of the time, if I sit at a denser level of raw foods, and not high dense, like not durians and bananas every day, but if I don't actually crave many nuts anymore when I sit at this level. When I'm doing more watery foods and juices, I crave fiber. I crave like hemp proteins and seeds. And it's like the body knows. The body has this compensation ability where you've given it like liquid sugar, or even just I was doing green juices, it knows there's no fiber. So you can start craving the fibers. So it's worth like listening to your body. But if I sit at a level like yesterday, I had papaya, hadn't had that in ages because that was everything sugary was causing me problems. Had half a banana, had a few grapes, I had some dragon fruit. And to me, they're all denser fruits. And then I had huge salad at night and I didn't have any nuts or seeds. And what I notice is when I have juices or watery foods, I start needing, it's like a compensate. My body knows where it needs to sit in homeostasis. So, and what I do believe might happen is like when I healed myself is you're mostly eating like fresh foods and then you want a handful of nuts here. It's not like juice and then I need something really dense. It's just, I'm not telling people that this is like a problem or they need to do it, but just listen, see what your body does. Because as I said, is I feel better when I have watery foods. That's key. And I knew that when I healed myself. If I start having too much dry food or too much like nuts or seeds, it's as good as cooked food and I'm out. I'm done. If I stay up on like living, like you look at it and the food's alive, like lettuce leaves and cucumbers and tomatoes and even fresh chilies aren't too bad. Like it's like anything that's like fresh seems to, for me, I just get moving. I feel really good. Someone said if I eat, oh, can you pin this? How's that? There you go. If I would eat dried fruit and non-watery fruits, I would be constipated. I literally rely on fruit for hydration and raw meat. Okay, I just know raw meat isn't for me based on density. And plus, I don't have a stomach to break down acids like that. But as for fruits, there is nothing more hydrating than fruits. Literally. I like you literally have fruit and feel hydrated. Even like cucumbers to an extent, but I think because sugar activates the brain, the pancreas, the liver. It activates everything. So you're actually stimulating your metabolism there. I want to reiterate that I know where my problem comes from and why I have to be careful, but that's what my body wants is I do need some fat. As I've said, my nerves burn. If I have any fat with fruits, I have problems. Even if you go at like 10%, I still have problems. So I just have to, actually, it's not doing so bad anymore, but I tend to do like days where I'm like really light on fruit or heavier on fruits and salads won't have much fat in the dressing. And then the next day, if I do more fats, I won't have much fruit. So I've just learned what works for my body because yeah, fruits do feel amazing when I'm just on them, but then I get unhinged. Like I'm literally ADHD, my nerves burn, I'm unstable to have a little bit of fat, and I'm like, I can concentrate. I feel better. I also think it's to do with my digestion. Is if I haven't got that stomach like most people do, where the food goes in and sits, it literally flies through me, and I think the body doesn't get all it needs. As I said, I couldn't live off watermelon, though I don't know how many people could. So yeah, so I think that's all I was going to talk on today, just about the benefits magnesium is bringing to my life, especially around like fat around the stomach area. It does help regulate blood sugar. Magnesium is involved with everything. So is salts. We need minerals. I feel like I went too much into sweet and not enough into minerals, and I'm back able to have more sweet than I could before. Spoke about magnesium, just spoke about how yeah, I mean, this was me, and this was me, and now this is me, and my blood test is perfect. So I'm following my body is really working for me. Um, Listening to it. Does it mean every day I feel 100%? Well, no, I think we're human. I think also we have work, we have other things that come into our lives. So yeah. I tell you what's not easy. Someone said, I believe it's not easy for you. I believe what is easy is when I was like not able to concentrate or connect online or read things, is you've only got your inner voice. Like I can't understand big sentences of text. I can see photos, that's about it. So the only thing I can rely on is that the raw foods felt good and anything else that I had didn't. And then as the raw foods heal me and I get online and I get more connected, is you are bombarded with opinions. And my compass needs to stay reminding what healed me, because everyone has a different story. And for me, it was essentially listening to what works for me. Raw foods, nature, but in that realm, it's always chopping and changing based on what really, it's like a feedback loop. Is if it's making me feel good, how bad is fresh raw foods? And then I don't want as many greens, that's okay, jump across to a few fruits. If that doesn't feel as good, I'm usually craving something else. And I don't think you can go wrong there. I think most of the people I work with who end up having problems have been on protocols where they're pushing through, and in their head, and the protocols told them, oh, you're not doing it good enough, it's all detox. These people are the ones that end up really sick and end up swinging back and forth. If you can tap into your body, like slow and steady wins the race. It's like me learning to run again. Took a year and a half. I walked every single day. Not one day did I try and run until my body told me it was ready. You have to keep tapping away. Just say you get 10 days of juice and then you're eating raw foods. I truly think that is because you are trying to not just heal your body, but your mind. And so a huge part of my healing journey was that my whole life, every protocol, whether naturopath or doctor, had been horrible. And this felt good. And when it didn't feel good, I pulled back. It was like relearning that if it felt good and it was fresh and raw, I'm not doing any harm. And then the next week it was fresh and raw something else. And it helped me heal that you don't have to feel bad in this world. You're actually allowed to get up and feel good eating foods. Yes, probably for many people there is a transition period from where they are, but you can still tap away at it. Just say you get like a few days raw or one meal raw. I still think mentally, emotionally, and physically, the hard work really does ingrain itself. I remember doing an interview with Jeanette and saying that since going raw, whatever I want to do, if I start showing up, I get there. That never happened for me before, and it never happens overnight. And raw foods and healing does not happen overnight. But as long as I feel good and keep tapping away, and I never do anything like too dramatic, like even with like fasting for me, is like I went through a period of doing like a couple of days here and there. But as soon as I felt I got really bad tachycardia and electrolyte symptoms, like blacking out basically. And that wasn't what I wanted to do. I don't want to feel scared. I don't want to feel terrible. I want to feel amazing. And that's what, for me, my healing journey is how do I feel amazing every day? And if I don't, what am I doing that's not making me feel amazing? All right, guys, I will be back next week and I will do a food demo next week. This week, I took most of this week off because I was scared. My iron was low, but my iron's amazing. My blood test came back amazing. I should get a copy of it and go through because you can actually see he was showing me where I started with when raw foods, and there's asterisks next to everything. And then as I go along, within a year, all the asterisks are gone, except my liver took 2 years to completely heal, my liver markers. And then I do really well. And then I crash out after doing like lots of sweet fruits. Crash out, I mean, my iron tanks, my blood sugars are high, and my sodium levels low. And now I'm back to perfect. So essentially, this is where I got perfect one. Yay! All right. Did you try pasteurized fruit juice? So I don't get a vibe from anything that has been heat treated. Sorry, I was about to go then. But if I have something like coconut water or juice and it's not cold press, is there, before you get a vitamin hit or nutrients, is I get a vibe from the living foods. Like I literally feel electric from this diet. So even if I'm having the wrong food, I actually still in some way feel good. But then, you start to not feel so good, but you still like, it's like feeling electric and hydrated and connected to the universe. When I eat anything pasteurized, it's just dead. So, and that goes into the Carillion photography. Do we have like a little minute here? And I'll see if I can grab some photos and show you guys the Carillion photography of raw foods. And we essentially become this of raw foods. It's a type of film which shows the electromagnetic energy of foods. Aha! I think I found it. Let me just see if I can bring this up. And it shows, yes, I think, can I save this? Save, download image. Let me see if I can get any more images. It shows what happens to foods once we cook them or denature the proteins. Here. Well, it even shows the difference in electromagnetic energy between meat and fresh raw foods. It's like off the charts. Hang on. And essentially, you start to see people who are having a lot of raw foods who look, they look like they're glowing. Like, where are downloads here? Yeah, here. Okay, and get one more. It's pretty fascinating. I remember I've been talking to people lately, like when I've been on a lot of fruits and I'm the most enlightened, all the things that heal people just become like real common sense. Like it blows my mind. Is that Pottinger's cat experiment? Is that the cat which is in the box, which is alive and dead at the same time? I thought that was somebody else's experiment. And like the many worlds theory. I thought that was Schrodinger's cat. I don't know about Pottinger's cat. Let me bring these images up because they just warm my heart. They just kind of show exactly here. Let me bring this one up. Add to stage. Okay, so there's raw corn and you've got that whole electromagnetic energy and then it fizzles out when you cook it. Raw tomato, it's like electric, which you can kind of see, which is why I realized raw foods was the way for me. It's like, I want to feel like this food. Cooked, it burns out. Pear, apple is amazing. There was one I just downloaded where it's like the apple next to the meat and you're like, whoa. And this is why a lot of people don't do supplements, because it's essentially we're upping our vibrational energy, and anything you put in your body dead. And this is why some raw vegans don't have water because of it. But I also think there's a level of needing to live on a planet which is made from dense reality. I think for me is I can't work or focus or get the level of healing I want without adding some denser things, which is an interesting concept as well. So it really says no one's doing it wrong. Here, this one, let me bring this one up. Swap it out, add to stage. Okay, that's some meat, and you can see there is energy in it. And then look at the apple. So, and like when I saw this, I'm like, boom, I literally know that's how I feel. Like when I have, and this to me only happens as much when you have like the fresh stuff. I do still think that like nuts, because all nuts in a packet have to have heat applied to them, because otherwise they grow mold. And if they have dampness, so they have to have heat that dries them. So no, you can go and do your research. This is Carillion photography. It's been done for ages. There's a whole page on it, I think. I don't know if I can connect my... Oh, you can share screen. We can share screen. Select a tab to share. Here. Share. So I can share. So you can see here, meat does have some sort of energy there, but not the same as fruits. Most of the Carillion, but I did type in raw foods. I'm not getting on an argument for what's right or wrong here. I just share how I feel, and I feel like this. I feel like all this raw food, they do it for a lot. So here, this is by Gillian Berry. I'm sure she won't mind. There. You guys can see that. So that's cool. I can share my screen and show more. So, yeah, I think this is cooked meat. I'm not getting in an argument for meat and not meat. I just share what I do. I am vegan. I went vegan before because part of when I had FND and I was in and out of hospitals, in our hospital so much, it was like having this spiritual awakening, and it came to me so strong, like I couldn't escape it. Why did I eat anything with a face? How dare I? They're not eating me. And that was really strong. And it was actually really hard to stay vegan when you're like dissociated and not very well. And then, so I was vegan first for the animals and because it was part of my awakening. And I am not here to tell people what to do. I'm here for people to see what I look like now, what I did, and that's it. Because there's a whole different argument, and I don't like getting what is it? Bad energy is bad energy. I think you have to be the result. You have to stand in front of a camera, or you have to stand in some sort of soapbox and go, I did this, and this is what I got. And you can see before and you can see after, and that's what I got. And people can say, if you did this, you would have got the same result. We don't know. What we do know is I did this and I got this result, and that's what I'm for. So lots of love and light to you guys. I will be back next week talking on whatever topics come up. It's okay. I'm not here to argue. Yeah, and I'm definitely not here. I think part of the healing process is to accept everyone where they are. I mean, I ate meat for years, and people could have told me things. I probably would have gone, no, there's this and this and that. And so everyone's on their journey. Lots of love. And I've got my new ebook coming out next week, and the raw vegan bundle's coming out on the 1st of May. But my ebook has so many. It's low fat, raw vegan, very few nuts, no salt. There is like coconut, avocado. There is some nuts, very little as well. Like it's back to how I used to do it with most of it's fresh stuff, like fresh garlics and turmerics and gingers. There is a bit of onion powder, I think, here and there. This is when I started adding things back. I made this ebook. But I made like burgers, a new burger recipe with like papaya and garlic fries. I've got the yummiest gnocchi recipe with fresh pumpkin that's been like dehydrated and then made into this like paste and gnocchi with pesto. I'm really excited for this. I just posted a picture of there's like curried vegetables with a lime garlic dressing. Oh my God, there's beef. There's mushroom stroganoff. Yeah, this is really exciting. So this will be available. Link will be in my bio. If you subscribe to my subscriber list, you'll get an email with it. But there's other books coming out at the same time. But I'm really excited for mine. Love you guys. And yes, AZX, nice chatting to you. And I think I saw Jillian there. And I will see you guys next week.